Welcome back to another trade recap. Today is Friday, March the 27th. Nice day in the markets. We had some nice continuation towards the downside. Took three trades today, one loser on Tesla, and then I ended up re-entering on Tesla and also entered in on Nvidia towards the downside, which was nice. Fridays are treating me nice. Ended up having a solid day today, solid day last Friday. Overall, let's kind of just hop right into my trading statistics to show you guys exactly my trades this week so far. As you can see, this is my first red week of the year actually. So $31,000 trade win percentage, 45%, profit factor 1.9, daily win percentage 50%, average win to loss ratio 2.25. And as you can see right here, this is actually my first red week of the year. Closing the week red, I was in a little bit more drawdown. Earlier today, I was down on my first trade quite a bit, but then ended up recovering on a couple nice fades towards the downside. But ending off my week red here, ended up being my first red week of the year, which is fine. I think I've done a great job kind of just keeping my losses small and having some nice winners. And that's kind of the name of the game, right? Especially during these markets, right? You want to be able to keep your losses small. So whenever we do have continuation, then we can finally, nail the trade. So in this case, down about $1,600. Last week, $12,000 a week before 16, and week number one, $3,000, putting up about $31,000 on the week. And as you can see, a lot more red trades specifically this week. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday took trades. Thursday was actually the best day to trade. Ended up being a little bit more hands off. Coming to market open, we had that nice kind of pop and then just kind of consolidation. We ended up having a push lower, which would have been the best day to trade, which was yesterday's trend towards the downside. And then today we end up having some nice pop and fades towards the downside as well. So let's go on to exactly the trades I end up taking today. Before we do that, let me pull up my pre-market game plan. So coming into market open, this was today. We're opening up underneath previous day low. Same game plan as yesterday. Let's look for a pop and fade towards the downside. Coming to market open, SPY 645, Qs 574, main watches Microsoft, Meta, Google, and then I had other names, Tesla and Nvidia underneath their previous day low. So really coming into market open, we actually opened up very well, much underneath our previous day lows. And then we end up having this kind of continue push towards the downside right off the bat. So key levels on Qs was, of course, our previous day lows, never came back up. So we're basing it off of intraday price action. SPY key levels that we have marked out in this case was our news candle low, which now, as you can see, we're either looking for that pop and fade coming to market open or shorts underneath this pre-market low and essentially that Monday's lows that we did have. So coming into today, if I go back onto the lower time frames, as for SPY, there's kind of a lot of things to kind of look for, but really the main thing here was we end up dropping right off the bat. So we're looking for that retest underneath that 642, which happens to be our Monday's lows, as you can see here. And so far, sellers are stepping in later into the day here as well off that key area. So for SPY and Qs coming to market open, nice drop right off the bat. Wanted to see kind of the pre-market low fade towards the downside. Didn't really get that, but came up into that 642. And once we reclaimed back underneath, that was a sign that it was going to continue at least towards low of day. Really not much continuation. That's kind of been the theme, right? Low of day and then just kind of consolidation. So really not too much. You end up having a nice kind of trade towards the downside, but not too much continuation. The main trades that we're looking for and that we're seeing here on the higher time frames, Nvidia was something we're keeping an eye out for, the breakdown of this key level support, looking for continuation down and towards 168. Tesla, another one, kind of a couple rejections here off this 390. We're looking for that push down in towards our 370 here and below. But let's hop right back into the charts. Some of the trades I end up taking today. Number one, Tesla. End up entering a trade. Really the key level that I have marked out on Tesla, if I zoom out, was our previous day lows, which of course was very far away. And then other levels I have marked out here as well, which was our Friday's lows of last week. So coming into market open, what I was looking for on Tesla was one of two things. Either our 5-minute range low retest, or now the break back underneath our Friday's lows of last week for continuation towards the downside. So the first trade I ended up taking here was on Tesla. Got a pretty nice entry. Didn't take any off at low of day, gave me like 20%, ended up cutting the position down about 20 to 30%. So down, was in drawdown on my first trade here, down quite a bit on Tesla. And then I ended up re-entering this one as the Qs was rejecting off key levels. SPY was rejecting off this 642, got back underneath our pre-market lows. Qs got back underneath our pre-market lows here as well. As you can see, broke above, rejection. Now we're looking for that flip back underneath this 569. So I ended up re-entering Tesla. 84% rule, had a lot more conviction on this one. Nice trade towards the downside, kind of just scaling along the way. Scaled majority of my position down in towards this 651, and then I've left some trailers and then eventually stopped out the rest. Nvidia, similar thesis here. What I was looking for was the break underneath this 169 here. So Nvidia, I would have liked it to come up into that previous day lows. Never quite came up into that level. So now I was looking for the break back underneath, or the breakdown of that 169.60s, which just happens to be this key level of support here on the higher time frame. So for Nvidia, was looking for some downside. That was primarily the game plan today on both the major indices. And then once it broke back underneath, right, was looking for a trade. I was looking for this trade earlier, never set up. Look for the 84% roll once again. Stop, a break above this one. Looking for a continuation towards the downside. Similar thing, scaled majority of my position down in towards key levels, and then ended up just like cutting the rest of my position eventually once it came back up. But super nice trade on Tesla and Nvidia towards the downside. Still red on the week, but that's completely fine. As I mentioned, sometimes you're going to have red weeks. In this case, I had a red week this month. Market's been a little bit slower, but we do see some nice price action, especially on Thursday and Friday. Starting to see some nice price action here in the markets. Higher time frames, we're in a very key spot here as well. We're actually breaking underneath higher time frame key level, so I'm expecting some nice price action here coming fairly soon. Qs break under key levels of support. You can see in the past few days we've had some nice trades towards the downside. A couple of the best names: Microsoft, Meta, right? Amazon, Google, nice pushes towards the downside. So we're getting this nice pullback here on the overall markets, which is, right, I'm excited, right? The farther that we drop, right, you can look to add long term, you can look to, right, trade this back towards the upside, but I'm just finally excited that we're moving outside this range. So expecting a lot nicer price action and a lot more continuation coming very soon, especially with a lot of these names breaking outside this range here as well. With that being said, let me go on to the live session, and then I will call it a day here. But basically, let's kind of go over the live session for today. As I mentioned, was interested in some downside here on the overall markets right off the bat. We're kind of pushing lower. Some of the names that we're keeping an eye on at this point of time, right? 15 minutes into market open or 10 minutes into market open. Nvidia was interested, as I mentioned, the break underneath this 169.50. Tesla was kind of eyeing this 5-minute range high, along with this this 365. As I speed up the tape here, you can see Tesla was showing a little bit more weakness. I personally got in once it broke underneath this 164. So as it was breaking back underneath, where I ended up getting a nice entry here, looking for that continued push towards the downside. You can see this one's relatively weak compared to the Qs. Hit low of day, but then eventually got bought back up. Qs kind of is defending your pre-market lows a little bit, and then kind of stopped out as it broke back above this key level here on Tesla. So I ended up taking the first initial loss. It was a decent loss. I was in a little bit of drawdown, especially with the SPY and Qs bouncing, but was still interested in this downside, right? Higher time frames, we had this gap down, first initial push now getting bought up. Now what I want to see is, right, the reclaim trade back towards the downside. Since if we break back above your high of day, then I'm going to be invalidated and I'm not that interested in shorts. But if we can still maintain underneath key levels, it's still interested in shorts. So as you speed up the tape, pretty solid rejections here on the SPY. As you can see, as I play this out, Qs breaking back underneath, SPY flipping back underneath. I'm still very much interested in Tesla, 84% rule, Nvidia, 84% rule here as well. And then what I want to see here is the SPY flip back underneath. Once we got that, I was kind of explaining it here. So I was basically explaining it here, right? What I was looking for was the flip, right? I was looking for the flip here on the Qs, flip on the SPY, looking for continuation lower. So I ended up, as we speed it up, It's kind of playing out. So I got in on Nvidia as it was breaking back underneath. Tesla, similar thing, entered in on the 84% roll as well. And then as it pushed down towards the low of day, I was looking for the low of day flush. So I was looking for Q's low of day, and then I was looking for SPY low of day. You can see kind of nice flush here on the SPY and Q's. And then we end up having this nice kind of continue push towards the downside, kind of coming into 10 o'clock. But then it didn't have too much continuation. But that was fine, right? We end up having a nice push coming into 10 o'clock here on the markets. And then the rest, just kind of a little bit more consolidation after that 10 o'clock drop, or sorry, that 10 o'clock pop, and then just more consolidation after that. But yeah, that was it for me today. Quick little recap for you guys. Really not too much to kind of talk about today, not too much to kind of talk about this week. Just a lot more kind of consolidation, mean reversions, but excited for next week and to see what April has to offer. Expecting a lot more volatility with us breaking outside this range. We'll see what happens over the weekend. Not really too much to kind of talk about. I might have a weekly recap for you guys, talking about what to expect moving forward, like long-term ads, right? The whole economic situation. And then I'll also have a YouTube video on Sunday, which is a really good video talking about kind of psychology and some of the lessons I've learned. And yeah, with that being said, I am going to call it a day here, and I'll see you guys all next week. All right, take care, everyone. Peace.